Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new, welcome. My name is Marta and I'm so happy to have you here. For today's video, I wanted to show you how I created this look right here, and it's just I haven't done a look that doesn't include shimmery eyeshadows because I always seem to include them. So today I decided to do something that's just matte shades and nude shades. So I really love this look and I hope you guys do too. Before we get started, if you are new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button to be a part of this little family and turn on the bell notification so you won't miss any of my videos, and give this video a big thumbs up please if you like this look. Now let's get started. Okay, first step, primer. As a primer, I'm going to use the Covergirl concealer, and first I'm going to clean the bottom of my eyebrows, which is what I normally do, and I'm using the Real Techniques detailer brush for that, but you can of course skip this if you don't normally do that, and you can just go straight into applying your primer or your concealer as a primer. And I'm going to blend that out with my Real Techniques sponge, and this really helps a lot if your eyelids are greasy. This will help to avoid that, and also the eyeshadows are going to apply so nice. But in order for the eyeshadows to look nice, like to blend out nice, you have to make sure it's nice and blended out without leaving any like dry patches. Once it's blended out, I'm going to set that with my Rimmel Stay Matte Pressed Powder. You can use a a translucent powder or an eyeshadow that's the same shade as your skin tone, and I'm gonna tap it on my eyelid first, that way the concealer doesn't move, and then just swipe away any excess powder. And this will help a lot, especially if you're a beginner, it'll just help blend out the eyeshadows a lot easier and better without struggling. Especially if you're going to be using dark eyeshadows, I suggest you do this instead of applying the eyeshadows directly onto the concealer. The eyeshadow palette that I'm going to be using is the Covergirl Full Spectrum So Saturated palette, which is one of my favorite drugstore palettes because the pigmentation is incredible. I'm going to apply the brown eyeshadow with the e.l.f. Cosmetics crease brush first on the outer corner of my eyelid. I'm going to tap it on there, and then I'm going to start blending it into my crease. It helps me if I apply it when I'm looking up. Just keep going back and forth until the eyeshadow is looking nice and blended. And that's one reason why I love this brush, because you can apply it and blend it out at the same time, and it looks so nice. And like I said, setting your concealer first before applying the eyeshadows will help so much to blend out the eyeshadows really nice. I'm going to go in with another coat of the same eyeshadow and apply that on my crease, and I'm going to do the same thing, just apply it back and forth. I'm doing this from corner to corner as like a rainbow or like an upside down U, however you guys want to see it. And I'm doing the same thing, just going back and forth until I like how blended out the eyeshadow is looking. And I'm slowly going to start blending it out a little bit higher without having a lot of the product on the brush. Another reason why I love this palette is because the eyeshadows are buildable, and you can see this with the third coat. The eyeshadow is it keeps getting darker and darker, and that's one thing you just don't want to start with a lot of the product on the brush for like the first application, because you can slowly start building it up, which is what I'm doing, especially since this is a dark shade and very pigmented. But that's one important thing when you're blending out eyeshadows. You don't want to have a lot of the product on the brush, and you want to apply it lower than where you want the eyeshadow to look nice and blended, which for me, I like to apply it on my crease and then start blending it out on the edge of the eyeshadow very lightly. You don't want to add a lot of pressure when you're blending them out. And it also helps a lot if I stretch my eyelids to blend out the eyeshadows better, and then you can see exactly where you have to blend it out a little bit more. And for this part, I'm only focused on the outer corner of my eyelid and above my crease. I don't really care how it's looking on the eyelid because I'm going to apply concealer there in a bit. So as long as it's looking nice and blended above my crease and on the outer corner, I can then move on to the next step. And also, one thing that helps me if you want to, or if you need a little help blending out the eyeshadows better without the eyeshadows moving higher, you use another brush. I like to use a brush that I used to set the concealer with my pressed powder. I just use that without grabbing any more of the powder. I just use whatever's left on the brush and just start blending out the eyeshadow, and it just looks a lot smoother. To me, it makes a big difference. But that's something that can hopefully help you guys too, to blend out the eyeshadows. For my lower lash line, I'm going to use a smaller brush. This little brush comes in an eyeshadow palette from Rimmel, and you want to use a small brush to apply the eyeshadow on your lower lash line. That way you don't apply a lot of it, because you don't want to apply too much, especially if it's a dark shade. And I start by applying it in tapping motions as close to my lash line as I can, and then once it's there, I start blending it out in circular motions, and then I make sure I connect it to the eyeshadow on the top on the outer corner. And I applied 2 coats just to make the eyeshadow a bit darker. Now here comes the tricky part. The first thing I highly recommend for you to use is a very small and flat brush. To me, the Real Techniques Detailer brush is the perfect brush for this, especially if you're a beginner. And first I start by applying I'm going to be using the same Covergirl concealer, and I'm going to apply it on my eyelid close to my lash line, and then I look up and then down. I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but this really helps me to start the cut crease, especially if you have hooded eyes. You do this, and this helps to apply the concealer above your crease, which is what you want if you want your eyes to look a little bit big. You don't want to leave this on your crease. You want it to go over your crease. And I do this in little steps, and it's important not to have too much concealer on the brush, but then again, don't have just a little bit, because then you're gonna struggle to create like a nice line. And I keep checking. I look at the other eye to make sure it's even, or if I need to make it a little bit round. I just want it to look kind of exactly the same, because I know it's not gonna look perfect like exactly the same like the other one, but it does help to just keep checking. And another important thing for beginners, you have to start by applying the line a little bit lower than where you actually want it, because that way you can just keep adding more concealer and going a little bit higher. But if you start too high and you don't like it, it's gonna be hard to fix that. So that's very important to start lower and start with a small brush. And for the outer corner, another important thing for the eyeshadows to look nice and blended, the concealer has to be nice and blended. The way I do that is I take off the excess product on the brush, make sure I don't have a lot, and then I kind of just swipe the concealer on the edge. I do this very lightly, and I don't want to cover up all of the brown eyeshadow that I already have on the outer corner. It is going to cover some of it, which is why I'm going to go back with the same eyeshadow in a bit, but the concealer does have to be blended, so I do this with a very light hand. All I'm gonna do now is set the concealer, because I want it to look the same like nude color, and I'm gonna use my Rimmel Stay Matte Pressed Powder. You can actually use a translucent powder. It's just to set the concealer, or just any light nude shade, and I just apply it in tapping motions. And you can see on the other eye, it has a lot more of the brown eyeshadow than this eye. So I'm just going to go back with the same brown eyeshadow and apply it on the very outer corner of my eyelid. I tap it on right there because you don't want to start with a lot. And then I slowly start blending it into the inner corner, or like the center of my eyelid, but not too much. And I kind of want the brown eyeshadow to be like blended out like at an angle instead of just like straight line down the middle. And I just keep blending it out until I like how it's looking. And if you feel like you added a little more brown eyeshadow than you wanted, you can go back with the same fluffy brush that you used to set the concealer on your eyelid without getting more of the product, and then just kind of use that to blend out or kind of erase a little bit of the brown eyeshadow. Then I'm going to add a nude eyeliner to my waterline, and I'm using the Pixi Eye Bright liner. It's like a beige shade. This will just help open up my eyes a little bit. Then I'm going to apply the eyelashes. These are from Eylure. I forgot the name of the style, but I will have all the products that I used in the description box below. And last, I'm going to apply mascara to my lower lashes, and I'm using the Maybelline Great Lash mascara. And I didn't want to add any like shimmer or anything because I wanted this look to be completely matte. But there you have it. I hope you guys liked it. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I hope this tutorial was easy for you guys to follow, especially if you're a beginner. So let me know in the comments below what you think, and please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a big thumbs up if you did like it, and share it with your friends and your family. Thank you guys so much for your love and your support. I love you, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!